ladies and gentlemen, this week kumekuwa na information, a leaked information ambayo imesema kwamba two of the judges at the Supreme Court, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu and Smokin Wanjala, wamesubmit a resignation letter, but the information ilikuwa termed as fake by the Judicial Service Commission. Before we could get there, I want us to listen to an audio ambayo ilitolewa, speech ambayo ilitolewa na James Orengo, who is a senior counsel. We listen to that audio, to that speech, I mean. Then we will continue as we try to figure out what could be the possible, ama ni nini ambacho kinaweza kuwa kilipelekea hayo madai kuwepo.
I respect the courts and I've practiced law for a long time. The judges in the Supreme Court, a lot of them are my juniors. They are my juniors in law. The judgment that they rendered, and I want to say this without fear or contradiction, was not a judicial judgment. The literature contained in that judgment was not judicial literature. That was a political track. It was meant to serve a purpose which has nothing to do with the law. The person who wrote that judgment has done a great injustice to the rule of law. Judges speak in words that are measured, that are tempered, so that even the loser in a court of law feels that justice has been done. It is like a good football match. However much you like your team, but if the referee is fair and is not against you in any shape or form, you congratulate those who are won in a football match. Football match has got rules. Netball has rules. And the courts of law must work with judicial practice and render judgment in which the loser and the winner leave a courtroom saying that justice has been done. Not even a baraza presided by a chief would use the kind of language that was used by the Supreme Court. Shame to you, judges. Shame to you, judges. We fought so hard. Raila Amolo Odinga was one of the people who fought so hard so that we have independent courts. When Raila was fighting for an independent judiciary to bring a new constitutional order, Raila did not just fight for devolution. He fought for independent courts.
So huyo, that is James Orengo. That is the speech ambayo ametoa in public after the Supreme Court made a verdict kuhusu ile kesi ambayo ilikuwa imepelekwa kotini, petition ambayo ilikuwa inapinga uteuzi wa William Ruto kama the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya. And from his words, kama kwa wale ambao walikuwa wanafuatilia the proceedings at the Supreme Court, James Orengo was representing the petitioner ambaye alikuwa ni Raila Odinga. There were other petitioners, but James Orengo was the leading counsel. Now, after the Supreme Court gave their verdict, their rule, there are some words ambazo Chief Justice Martha Koome alitumia, ambayo hayo maneno in my opinion, hayakuwa mambo ya they were not good terms ambazo zinafaa kutumika in a court like Supreme Court. We all know that Supreme Court is the final court on our land. Therefore, tunatarajia or we anticipate that at least, to use some words, hata kama wewe ni loser, unatoka hapo hivyo ukifeel that you fought a good fight. But the terms that were used by the Chief Justice Martha Koome was like a mockery, yeah, criticizing, humiliating. He used some words like hot air, forgery, where she accused the petitioners to have forged the documents in an attempt to pursue the court, yeah, wild goose chase, such terms ambazo they were not taken lightly by the petitioners, ambazo ni James Orengo anaongelea hapo hivyo. So let's get back to the leaked information. But before we discuss that, if you are watching for the first time, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll get a notification. So hii information imetokea kwamba Philomena Mwilu ambaye ni Deputy Chief Justice na other judge Smokin Wanjala, that they have submitted a resignation letter. You know, nothing happens out of a coincidence. Na Waswahili wanasema penye moshi pana moto. Though the Judiciary Service Commission imeterm the allegations as fake, but who could wake up one day and come up with such information kusema kwamba the two judges from the Supreme Court have submitted their resignation letter. Unajua hiyo ni mahakama ya juu, na sio rahisi mtu kuamka tu na kusema kwamba fulani na fulani wamefanya wanajiuzuru. There must be something, and that something is what I want us to discuss here, and we look of the possible ni nini ambacho kinaweza kuwa kimesababisha these two people to submit such letters. We know maybe hazijakuwa submitted, but maybe in some days something of that kind will happen. So I'm trying to look at that speech ambayo imetolewa na James Orengo, and from that speech, from my point of view or from my understanding, I think if there is such a plan of resignation of the two judges, it's out of guilt. Kwa wale ambao walifuatilia the ruling, wale ambao walifuatilia kutoka mwanzo, from the whole proceedings, the evidence that were presented by the petitioners, yeah, and you remember there were 9 factors, let's say 8 factors, to determine whether the election will be held, will be upheld or will be nullified. And out of the 8 reasons, zote zilitupiliwa mbali. Yeah, tuliona Julie Soweto from the petitioner side akitumia documents from the IEBC portal as an evidence to challenge or to persuade the court. But those documents ambazo aliwaambia waende kwa mitandao ya IEBC hapo kwa Supreme Court, those were the documents ambazo Martha Koome alisema kwamba they were fake. Now one will ask, zilikuwa aje fake yet zilikuwa zinatolewa kwa portal ya IEBC live? Not that zilitolewa zikaletwa, zilitolewa hapo court. So guys, all the 8 factors that were to determine whether the election will be upheld or nullified. Zote zilitupiliwa mbali na mahakama. And the evidence that the petitioners had presented were termed as fake, forgery, hot air, wild goose chase. Yeah. The first factor ilikuwa whether the IEBC technology surpassed the test of conducting the election. And the first hiyo factor ilikuwa wakasema kwamba IEBC imefanya nini? Ilipass. If that was the first thing, then it clearly meant that the case has been lost. But one would ask, all those things that we saw, all the evidence that we saw, how comes that not even one ambayo ilikuwa considered? After all the logs ambazo ziliwakilishwa na Mugo, the lawyer from the petitioner side, and even the IEBC themselves, they admitted there were some logs to the IEBC servers by unauthorized people or individuals. There were forms 34A that were signed on 7th of August, that is before the election, and the forms were presented to the Supreme Court. Philomena Mwilu had a look on them. How could a form 34A be signed on 7th, even before the date of election? Form 34A, not 34A, Form 34C, zilianza kuwa prepared even before the counting started. There were logs, kulikuwa na evidence, but Koome alisema zilikuwa fake, akasema kwamba they appeared to be like that of 2017. That is our Supreme Court. How could she say they look like, yet she could have confirmed whether in kweli zilikuwa za 2017? Why did she not look for kuangalia kweli kama hizo logs ni za 2017? The servers, the petitioners demanded that requested for the servers to be opened. Out of the 8 servers, only 1 server was opened. The other servers, we were told kwamba the copyright wakifungua hizo servers itafanya nini? The copyright itakuwa tampered with, right? So hiyo ndio Supreme yetu. Yes sir. That is our Supreme Court, right? A Supreme Court that cannot even allow or cannot give a grant or iitishe servers zifunguliwe. The fact that it orders inasema servers zifunguliwe, wenye servers wanakataa wanasema hatufungui, that is the final that our Supreme Court haiwezi authorize ama iamurishe servers zifunguliwe. And because that is the final, that is the highest court on land, there is nowhere we can go, there is nowhere one can go after that. Now it upheld the information, it upheld the election. Now what next? So these are some of the reasons that from my point of view ndio zimefanya nini? Zimefanya these 2 judges, they are feeling guilty of the ruling they made. Yeah? The ruling they made is what is making them guilty because if their conscience, if their conscience was clean, then sioni kwa nini kutakuwa na resignation. That is the highest court on land. And I think whoever wrote that ruling was not a judge. Na kama alikuwa judge, alikuwa na some bitterness in it. That was like a political ruling, not even a Supreme Court ruling. Vile James Orengo amesema. I'm not saying that because I'm an Azimio supporter, but I'm saying it from a point of view, and even a Kenya Kwanza supporter in his or her senses will tell you that that was not a Supreme Court ruling. That was not a ruling from a judge, from a professional judge, like those whom we expect to be at the Supreme Court. Now, after the Supreme upheld the Ruto's victory, there was another case that was filed ya kuzuia Rigathi Gachagua from upholding the deputy president office on allegation of chapter 6 of our constitution that talks about integrity. Some months ago, the High Court ilipata kwamba Gachagua had acquired 200 million illegally, na ikasema kwamba hizo pesa zirudishwe kwa umma. Yeah, hizo pesa zirudishwe kwa umma. Wakati wa election wa campaign, Gachagua mwenyewe alikuwa anasema kwamba if they manage to get the queen, he will make sure hizo pesa zimefanya amerudisha hizo pesa. Now hiyo petition ilikuwa imepelekwa Supreme. Koome alitupilia mbali hiyo kesi ambayo not that ni evidence inapelekwa, kesi ambayo imeshaamuliwa na High Court. Yes, High Court iko chini ya Supreme, but kama Supreme inatupilia mbali uamuzi ambao ulikuwa umetolewa na High Court. High Court ilikuwa ishafanya upelelezi, wakapatikana kwamba hizi pesa Gachagua hana good explanation ya kusema jinsi alizipata. Koome akasema kwamba hii kesi itupiliwe mbali. Now Rigathi is in the office. Where are we heading as a country? If we elect people or if we protect people who don't surpass the integrity, how are we sure that these people, they are going to protect our resources? People who have claimed, ambao wamesema waziwazi kwamba if I go there, I'm going to get back my money. Is he really going to get back the 200 million? Or atataka kuongeza zingine? My conscience tells me Supreme Court sold our victory to the highest bidder. That is what my conscience tells me. Kura zetu ziliuzwa. It's very sad that as a country tunapewa siku ya kwenda kupiga kura, tupange naye tupige kura, but kuna gambling itaenda kufanywa mbele after. Yani tunapiga kura tu, tunaambiwa tupige kura kama tu njia ya kutublind, tunapombazwa. But wale ambao wanaenda kuamua ni nani atakuwa president, they are just sitting somewhere. Tumekuwa tukiangalia how the elections have been zimekuwa zikifanywa in our country. Kila mtu anajua how it has been happening. That's not a secret. But for how long are we going kuendelea hivi? Tuko tunapiga kura inaenda kuwa determined na mtu ambaye pia yeye ako na preferred candidate. Though kumekuwa na allegation that the verdict or the ruling ilikuwa na pressure from external forces from US and UK. Yeah, it's an allegation, it's not confirmed, but it says US and UK hawakuwa nafanya nini? Hawakuwa na prefer Raila. Walikuwa na prefer Ruto. Now it's Raila who fought for this supremacy, his independent institutions that include the Supreme Court. Now kama institution ni independent, mbona ikuwe pressured from external forces to make a ruling? Yet wako na uhuru wa kufanya nini? Wa kufanya ruling kulingana na their professionalism, kulingana na vile wamefanya, vile wameona, vile wamestart the case. How could you be triggered by external forces to make a judgment, to make a ruling? Then you come tell us that the ruling was from God. I thought Supreme Court is an institution to fight impunity, but to what it has turned now, it's a true reflection of impunity. That is now, hiyo ndio soko kubwa sasa ya kudetermine nani ako na pesa mingi. Whereas Wakenya wanaambiwa their vote matters. How would you convince one in 2027 to go and vote again? Wakati anajua hata nikivote Supreme ndio itaamua. Joseph Amago ndiye ataamua nani atakuwa president. Where are we heading as a country? Raila has fought for the country 5 times. Raila is not looking for a job. Raila was not looking for a job. Raila was fighting to liberate the country. Ruto was looking for a job. That's why people who don't understand, they say Raila anatafuta president mara 5 na badala afanye achane. What Raila is fighting for is not fighting for power, but he's fighting to bring the country together. Now see, after the Ruto na Rigathi wame win whichever the money they used. The narrative is to stop nini? The son of a nobody has become the president. If we go back, Jomo Kenyatta became the president. He was the son of nobody. He was not from a royal family. He was not from a dynasty. He was just a plumber. Jamaa kusoma mita ya maji. Can you say that was a dynasty? Jaramogi Oginga was nobody. He came from nowhere to be someone. Ruto at least side tumemjua ni billionaire. Jamaa amekuwa na pesa. Now akituambia that the son of a nobody can become a president, what is he trying to tell us? Ya, anajaribu kutuambia nini? Si ati ametoka Mathare, hajatoka Kibra, ndio atuambia the son of nobody. Yeye at least amekuja, tumeangalia ni gari gani amekuwa akifanya nayo campaign. Then anatuambia son of a nobody. Just to blind us. Kublind wale watu ambao hawataki kufikiria. Na anasema kweli, ni son of a nobody. Sometimes I just look at these politicians, then angalia sio politicians wako na makosa, ni sisi wa Kenya tuko na makosa, ni sisi wajinga, sababu we are being taken for a ride. Mtu ako hapo na gari amelindwa, amezingirwa na security, wewe uko hapo unakimbia na miguu, unamfuata na floaters ambazo slippers ama crocs ambazo zimetoboka huko nyuma, unakimbia hapo kusema son of a nobody. Son of a nobody being driven, yeah, ina Prado, wewe uko hapo unamfuata kwa miguu na crocs ambazo zimetoboka, then you believe the son of a nobody. Wewe mwenye unamfuata wewe ndio mjinga wa kwanza na mwisho. Yeye tunaambiwa wajinga waliishi, hakuambiwa wewe ndio mjinga kwa hapo. Okay, he has won. He has got it. Despite that hatukubaliani, but hatuna nini? Hatuna kwingine ambako tutaenda. Sababu now the Supreme ishapeana to the highest bidder. We can't refund. So we'll have to wait, not even for 5 years, for 10 years. Tuangalie maybe vile nini yao itaenda. Vile regime yao itakuwa. Na kama Rigathi atakuwa ametafuta pesa ya kutosha tena aenda anunue all institutions. I remember there is a video I did here. Na nikasema Ruto is not a fool. A fool in quotes. Sababu werevu wake sio ule werevu ambao utasema kwamba unaweza taka mtoto wako akue hivyo. That's why I'm saying fool in quotes. I did a video here and I said Ruto is very clever. Ruto alijua if he pockets Chebukati or the IEBC commission, na kwa sababu anajua Raila ni mtu ambaye anapenda kufight for democracy, transparency. Alijua Raila atafanya nini, the next destination itakuwa ni Supreme Court. So Ruto alicheza cards zake mapema. First I have to pocket the IEBC. Then the next ni Supreme Court. These are human. Supreme Court is sio machine, ni human. So kama ali manage to pocket Chebukati, mbona si pocket Supreme Court? There are people, they are looking for money also. Mbona si pocket? Raila sio mtu wa kutoa pesa. Huo mnasema ni mstingy. Yeah, Raila ni mstingy, hatoaki pesa. That is why hawezi akanunua democracy. Raila can't buy democracy. That is the only thing that I can say imekuwa ikifanya Raila akionekana kushinda. But in real sense, Raila wins. Ni ile hafanyi ni ile hatumii hizo njia za mkato. Raila angekuwa kutumia hizo dirty politics ama dirty games, Raila angekuwa aliingia kwa power kitambo. But kwa sababu ni mtu ambaye anapenda kufanya the right way, that is where other candidates outsmart him. Yeah, Raila hafanyi kitu kwa sababu wengine wanafanya, na hapo that is now the weakness ambapo where he's being beaten. Ukiangalia hizo times zote ambazo amekuwa akijaribu, that is what has been happening. Yeah, that is what has been happening. So Raila may go home because we don't know his plans. He will go home, but whatever will be subjected to with this regime, we will suffer it as a country, not as an individual. Wewe mwenye ulipigia Kenya Kwanza kura, mimi mwenye nilipigia Azimio, we will all suffer the same. Bei ya mahindi ikienda juu, bei ambayo utainunua ndio ile ambayo mimi nitanunua. Tutaendelea kufurahia that ni kabila yangu ni president, but we will suffer as a country. That is one thing that people forget. The moment tutaachana na siasa za ukabila, I'm not a Luo, but I love Raila because of his policies, where he has brought the country from. People tend to complain that Raila anasumbua, but they forget that the freedom that they have today is because of that man. When he will not be there, that is when mtaanza kuona umuhimu wake. So let's wait, tungoje tuone, tuwapatie miaka yao wafanye wamalize. Mwenye atakuja next, I think atakuwa amepata pesa za kutosha za kununua institutions. Sasa tutafanya, tutaendelea tu. We have no other option. Tutafanya, we have no option. So thank you guys for watching. I'll keep updating you. If the judges watakuja waseme kweli, wasubmit their resignation letters. But vile nimesema, every rumor has an atom of the truth. Let's stay tuned. Tungoje kule ambapo moto ukianza kuwaka, I will update you.